No. Yes.
Oh, now we're live.
Now we're live. What's up? It's Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode. Go FUD Yourself. JD
Yes.
Gagnon here, full of
Enthusiasm.
today for everybody. I am still in Canada at an Airbnb, hiding so that I
Fun.
can do this in peace and quiet.
Also hiding from the ridiculous weather. Are you prepared?
Yeah, no, not prepared. Not happy about it. It's about minus 100, and I think overnight there was like 6 inches of snow here overnight, and there was already probably half a foot yesterday. So I'm ready to go home.
Sick.
Yep, I'm cold. I don't like it, and I have to drive 4 hours in this nonsense today, so that should be fun.
But the cars are heated. Okay.
The cars are heated, true, but the roads are going to be atrocious. Anyways, I don't think people care too much about my driving circumstance, but here we are talking about FUD. What are we talking about?
Okay, so we're actually going to talk about TV quite a bit because we've been talking about the negative sentiment and how everything's really tabloidy and it's all court cases and there's nothing nice to say. But actually, there's quite a few really good TV programs coming out, which I think help to normalize crypto for the average person, or at least Web3 for the average person. So we're going to talk about Crypto Boy. We're going to talk about the next crypto gem. We talked about that a little bit with DFK, with Bolin from DFK, because they were on it. And then I'm going to ask you about the show you were on. Oh,
I was not on a show. What are you talking about?
And then
it was really cool, actually.
Don't tell me yet.
I'm really okay. We'll talk about it.
And then after that, whatever we have time for, we're going to go into crypto scams. There's all kinds of weird scams going on in relation to the Palestine-Israel, where people are trying to fundraise money, but just stealing money. And then there's the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. It has come under scrutiny for not providing enough safe disclosure, essentially, for people who are working in crypto. And yeah, there's some stuff going on, and the London police and the Calgary police are trying to combat it. And they're the only ones. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Only those two major cities, the only two globally that are actually trying to do anything. But here we are, and I happen to be in one of them, so hopefully I can get away before they figure out it was me. Hey, all right, well, we got a lot to talk about, so let's just get freaking rolling.
I like that one.
Oh, baby, we're back.
I like that one.
I played it just to throw you off because I knew it would.
I feel better now. Okay, so the first one that we're going to talk about is actually a Netflix special.
Yeah.
And this is kind of fun. As far as I can tell, and I mean, I didn't dive into it too deeply, but as far as I can tell, it's not based on a true story, which means this is the first crypto show that we're seeing that is not like a reality show or a tabloidy show or something like that. And the reason that I like it is it's kind of just normalizing that some people work in crypto, because the key themes are actually about the family tensions and potential fast wealth and being an immigrant and that kind of thing. So I like this concept. My mom was a landscape architect. And her big thing was that one time she read all these like kitschy murder mysteries. And one time the killer was a landscape architect. And that's how she knew that her career was no longer like obscure. And so I feel as though this is the same as Crypto Boy on Netflix.
This is our coming out party.
In the public eye. And now it's just kind of a thing that people do, right? It's just sort of a normalized, non-contentious job.
Yeah. I have not been able to witness this masterpiece of a show, but the challenge I have with this is it makes it sound like it's, on one hand, it's great. I do agree with you. I think it's cool that they're now making fictional stories about crypto. It's become part of, common consciousness, generally speaking. Most people now have heard of it, if not have interacted some way, shape, or form. So, I mean, I get it, but the challenge here is like, not every person in crypto is a fucking high school kid that has absolutely zero clue what's going on, has never traded anything before, doesn't understand speculation, doesn't understand volatility. Like, come on, not everybody that's playing in crypto is a
Well, that's part of the show,
child.
actually, is that his father discourages him from working directly with the crypto app until he uses their saved money to go to college for finance.
Yes. It's all good.
You're still mad already.
It's great. I think it's great on one hand, but on the other hand is like, come on, I would rather see something like a Michael Burry movie about crypto, or like a fictional, I don't know, maybe not SPF.
No, I don't want that
I don't think his name deserves to make any more money.
I mean, a lot of what we see, and even in terms of reading, like when I first moved into the crypto space, I read every book I could get my hands on, including Blockchain for Babies and Once a Bitcoin Miner and everything. And most of them are these dramatized renditions of something that happened in real life. And so I just like the concept that this is fiction. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of them are biographical or somewhat of a historical account from someone's perspective. What's her name? Camilla Rosso wrote an interesting kind of the history of ETH. I can't remember what it was called, but it was pretty interesting in a lot of ways for similar reasons. I think that it really did chronicle the history, which was cool. But it's not as much for entertainment. It's more for like learning, you know. And so that's kind of cool. I hope we see more of this. I just hope it's not all a bunch of
high school kids working at McDonald's who want to become CZ. Yeah. Okay.
Working for tips. Yeah.
Okay, well, the other one that has actually debuted and has been out since September 7th is the next Crypto Gym. This is basically The Apprentice mixed with Shark Tank, and it had quite a few really popular dApps on it, I guess. I don't know if dApp is really the right word here, but it had quite a few interesting projects on it, and now they've actually launched it. They're in the final rounds. We already know who won if you like work in crypto, but if you're just watching it, it's probably new and exciting. But there were some, I don't know, I thought this was kind of cool too.
Yeah, I kind of like this. I think this is maybe a little bit more aligned with what I hope to see publicly. Again, it's not fictional per se. It's a lot more nonfiction than fiction, I think. But it at least allows people to see, although curated and although probably not an accurate representation of the space at large, given the projects that I know were there. But it's at least a little bit better. It's adults. They're showing, they have to go through the whole process of why they're building what they're building. What are the problems that they're trying to solve? You know, is this economically viable? This is a lot more mature. It's a lot more sophisticated way to expose people to the technology, which I like personally. So I'm a fan of this. I'm not a huge reality show fan. I think most of them are stupid, but
well, they are. But
in this particular case, it's better than a kid's crypto boy. My opinion.
I want to talk a little bit about kind of who's on this show, because I think it's interesting. Is that a lot of them were already projects. These weren't like startup projects. This is where it's less like Shark Tank. These aren't people who are like trying to already been validated and they have huge followers. So one is the Tsuka network, and they are over 32,000 people in their community. So that's pretty cool. Do you know anything about Tsuka?
Actually, I know a lot about Tsuka.
Oh, okay. Tsuka.
Well, not a lot about Tsuka, but I have some good friends that are deeply involved in building Tsuka. And I was with those guys in Fort Lauderdale a few weeks ago.
Tell us about Tsuka. What do they do? Yes. Why do we care?
I'm probably not the best person to explain it in great detail. Maybe we'll have Fungi on again.
Honestly, that's
good. Because I don't want to screw it up because it's pretty interesting, and I don't want to explain my interpretation of something that's a lot better than the way I'd explain it. So but yeah, let's have Fungi on to talk about it actually, because he'll
that'd be super fun.
He'll be fired up.
Actually, it would be fun if we could get all of them, because we do have the 4 final contestants, because we can have Dreamer from DeFi Kingdoms, who was on the show. We talked to Bolin about that for a while. Bolin was not on it, so he got to give us some honest renditions about what was going on and how interesting it was and what kind of things they had to prepare to be on TV. That was in a previous episode. It's kind of cool. And then there's Vulcan Forged. I don't know if you are familiar with their work, but they also have over 20,000 people in their network. And they are also an ecosystem that is specific to gaming. So kind of cool. So yeah, we have Vulcan Forged too. And
I wish we would have seen a little bit more. My only criticism of this show so far, or at least this season, is I wish we would have seen a little bit more sophistication.
Okay.
Maybe in at least one of the projects. Not that they're not sophisticated, and I don't want to talk shit about any of them, but they're the public perception of like a DeFi Kingdoms or a Suka or whatever that other one was, that you just said is they're kind of degen-y, they're kind of culture arty, they're kind of gaming-ish. Totally. Again, that I don't think that that's the strong presence that we as a space want to exude. I think we're looking more for a little bit of kind of the emerging, innovative, new.
But I think it is what people want to see, right? Because it reinforces what they already think about crypto. What did you think about the judges? Were you familiar with the judges?
Well, I like Leah Halpern.
Okay, why do you like Leah?
Because she's hot as shit. But she was also in Brickell a couple days ago in Miami, where we live. Patrick Sarr.
That's me.
And was all fired up about it. So we'll have to ask him how many creepy pictures he took like a fangirl, but probably zero.
Leah's interesting because she does have the background in crypto. She has a show called Block TV, but I have heard that she also was in TradFi before, in traditional journalism before. So it's nice to have a face that knows what they're doing, as opposed to us who are like, yeah, we can run a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this was good from an awareness perspective. It's getting more people in a positive way, something better than like doom and gloom FTX news stories. I don't mind it. I just wish we would have seen at least one contestant be something like, I don't know, decentralized storage or some version of.
But it's not. It's games.
Yeah, I understand what it is, but I'm just saying, I think if it could be better for the space as a whole, that's how I would make it better. That's all.
Okay, well, the other judges are pretty good too from a crypto perspective. So there's George Tung, who runs Cryptos R Us. I believe that they have nearly 700,000 subscribers now. And that's more like educational based. So maybe that fulfills some of that more legitimate space that you're trying to, sophisticated space that you're trying to move us towards.
Yeah. Well, and then we've got, what's his
Brian
name?
D. Evans.
Yeah, Brian Evans.
And so he contributes to Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've never heard. He founded Influensive. I have no idea what that is, but I'm assuming. Actually, I'm not assuming anything. It must be influential. It's unconventional wisdom from influential minds. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but I'm gonna have to go check it out.
All right.
Yeah, so fairly well known, well respected author, Leah Halpern, George Tung. You already talked about. So I mean, yeah, I think it was it's a pretty cool show. I hope we see more of it. I'd be on it. I'd rather see a Real Housewives of Crypto.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Believe it or not, was actually a topic of conversation with people that could make it happen recently, which is kind of interesting.
Well, that's so bad.
We'll see if I can will it. I will be the housewife. So, talking about my wife and how she runs it. I think that's what I'll do. I'll be the housewife.
I mean, that makes way more sense.
Heck yeah.
You're far more difficult. Okay, but then you were on a TV show. So when we think about that sophisticated space, you were on Ted Danson's Advancements. And to be clear, I took a look. So he's at 8 seasons and 13, 14 episodes? You're on the 13th episode.
13.
But
yeah, 13.
They have done blockchain and crypto episodes before. So Ted Danson, this wasn't like the first foray into crypto and blockchain. This wasn't the first time that people who watched that show might have heard about it. But it did stream on Amazon, right? Which also the next Crypto Jam streamed across 100 platforms. So, I mean, we're definitely getting some traction with these TV shows.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. It was a really interesting experience. It was not what I expected.
Okay.
I didn't meet Ted Danson or any of those people. It wasn't like some big, Bloomberg studios or something. It was kind of what you would expect, actually. Like if you actually think about how they make these documentaries in different locations, like with all these different people, just in my head, I think I was showing up to like a Hollywood studio and like going to have like a makeup trailer and all this stuff. That's not quite what happened. But it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty. Sorry, I'm getting notifications like freaking crazy here.
Yeah, pay attention to us.
Almost to the point that
tell us about being on TV.
Yeah, so it was really cool. The people that were also on the episode with me. So it was like a whole day of shooting, and I think I'm in there for like maybe 2 minutes. But it's a really good 2 minutes.
Can you give us a sneak peek? What did people talk about? Why would somebody want to watch it?
Yeah, so the idea of this, like the whole point of this advancement show and Ted Danson, the whole thing is just to highlight emerging technologies and entrepreneurs and thought leaders and different people in many different verticals. Like they talk about pharma, they talk about like just tons of shit, agriculture, like there's tons of stuff that they cover, and blockchain was just one of them. And the idea is like generally like kind of a 10,000 foot view. Like you're trying to explain something very succinctly and very clearly, so that people that have maybe never encountered it before have an idea of what the hell you're talking about when they're done. So it was kind of interesting. The people that I was there with are all much smarter than I am. I think all of them are PhDs that were on, other than me. So they were all like, when we showed up, I hadn't even read the questions, which is
JD. Terrible.
When we showed up, and they all had like written out their responses and were rehearsing and all this, and they're like, "Do you want some time to rehearse?" I'm like, "Nope, I will go first." And so I went, and then they were like panicking, like constantly rehearsing and like freaking it out. But they're professors, so that's what they've been taught to do. When you present, you rehearse. Yeah. I can't. Like I haven't even watched my sections. I can't even tell you what it looked like, to be honest. Oh, no. I've watched all of it but me. And so anyways, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. I think it's very high level, just on kind of our goals as a space. What are we really trying to do? I made a couple of comments. So is it something
that like my mom could watch? It's not for degens?
That's the point. Yes. It's a show that like somebody that really doesn't understand crypto can watch and not feel like a complete noob. So if your mom's worried about noob feelings.
Yeah, I think that's what she's usually worried about.
Probably.
Okay. Well, I guess that's crypto on TV these days.
Yeah.
Are you ready to talk about scams?
I like scams. They're my favorite part of blockchain and crypto.
So I actually wanted to show a little political cartoon, but for some reason I can't get it to show on our screen. So Mr. Producer is going to have to pop it on Twitter for us. But it says "Crypto Fraud Grows Globally" was the title. And it's like a little, political style cartoon. They've got a pot of gold and the rainbow is coming to the pot of gold. There's two people who are saying, "It's crypto. Look, it's crypto." And so I think the concept here is that there's a lot of dreaming around crypto. And there's a lot of belief in crypto without necessarily seeing those results. And I think that this is a good allusion to scammers. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't, right?
It probably isn't. I mean, I've been talking about this for years. There are people that put $1,000 into something and it turns into millions.
Totally.
But the proportion of those people relative to the people that put thousands into something and have zero is very, 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 very small. Probably a rounding error. Probably would never show up on any data set. So, I mean, the thing that needs to be separated when thinking about blockchain and the technology and kind of why we're all here still building is there's a crazy conflation right now of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. They're not the same. They're not the same at all, actually. One of them is highly speculative currently, cryptocurrencies. Most cryptocurrencies are still trying to figure out how to establish economic value and sustainable value accrual, where blockchain is just a technology. It has nothing to do with cryptocurrencies and trading and all this. It has a lot to do with it because it facilitates it, but that's not the point. So it's like when cars were deemed unsafe, it's like blaming the road.
Yeah.
Right? Occasionally the road is the problem, but not usually. Usually it's the driver or the car. And so anyways, I think we need to spend more time really kind of separating the two as a space and getting people to understand that, I mean, you need to assess your investments in crypto and your interest in projects and technologies based on what you actually think the meaningful benefit at the end of the road is going to be from here. Right. And often what people are thinking is, I heard somebody made $10 million from crypto. I'm going to go ape into all these meme coins and, useless bullshit that you know nothing about, or try to ape into new launches on Uniswap. Like that's the most common thing for new people entering the space is shitcoining. And I think it's like the worst possible experience that people could have at the beginning. Because one of two things happens. They see all these other idiots throwing in money and lying about how much they throw in, which is almost always the case. They follow, and they make a bunch of money, which then gives them a false expectation that they, that you actually can do that consistently on the first time, which is the worst case scenario. Or, believe it or not, the second worst case scenario, they just lose their money. Right. And either way, they're fucked. And so, I mean, hopefully people start looking at this a little bit differently, but scammers aren't going anywhere. We're going to see more and more and more scams, unfortunately. I think it'll be significantly reduced once we have some hegemony globally of regulation. I think once KYC AML is a commonplace, there will be a lot less ways for things to slip through the cracks. So hopefully that comes sooner rather than later, in my opinion. But
actually, the reason that I wanted to move from TV into scams, it might not seem intuitive, but I think that the more publicity we get around crypto and around Web3 and look at what these people are doing and don't you want to do it too? And look, this kid who was in high school and was making tips and so on and so forth. I think that will encourage people who haven't participated in crypto before to enter the market, which on one hand is really fantastic. But on the other hand, it kind of puts us in this bad spot where we might see more and more people getting scammed or participating in shitcoins or just making decisions that aren't particularly educated because they don't know how to participate in DYOR. And I think a great example of that is the crypto scammers with Hamas right now. So people are asking for donations for one side or the other. They are creating fake charitable accounts, primarily on Twitter and that sort of thing. And others are, onboarding onto crypto specifically to donate to them and then getting scammed out of that cash. And if that's your first
experience,
like it's not a good one.
Yeah, I mean, with every natural disaster, there's always this proliferation of scams surrounding it, right? When there's a hurricane in Florida,
wars,
there's a bunch of
disasters.
Yeah, like
Easter.
There's always, there's always people scamming, and it's really unfortunate. Like, I mean, I get it. Obviously, I don't condone it. I don't appreciate it, but I understand why it exists. I don't think we're going to see this go away. I mean, we've been seeing it in traditional financial systems for years. Remember the Nigerian prince thing? Like tons of people got scammed by all that. I love
making that joke.
The means have now changed.
Yeah.
How they're doing it has changed, but it's the same shit as always existed. There's always going to be scammers. So be vigilant. I mean, anything, like you said at the beginning, you could, there's no better phrase for it. Anything that seems too good to be true likely is. So, like, I mean, if you're second guessing whether it's even possible, that's probably a good sign that it's probably not possible the way you think with any probability that you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
So anyways,
so
beware.
The senior attorney at the FTC has said you need to research the organization, make sure you Google them in relation to compliant, rating, scam, review, real, that sort of thing. And then the IRS in the UK have also issued advisories on safe donation practices. I'm sure others have too, but those are the ones that were in the news, which I think really smoothly brings us into the FDIC, and people are upset with them, saying that they haven't provided enough due diligence. And there's too many procedural gaps, and that they're allowing people to make mistakes in the crypto sphere, if you will.
Yeah. I think we're seeing, I struggle with this, and I'm trying to find words to communicate it effectively, but I struggle with this because I think all of the federal agencies right now are trying to protect their area of influence. Yes. And so now we're seeing, the FDIC come out of the woodwork. I'm sure we'll see the Fed and all these other places come out that'll have their own concerns here pretty soon about, I mean, the Fed's always worried about stable coins and all this other nonsense. But I don't know where I land on this one, to be honest. I think consumer protection is important to a certain extent, but there needs to be objective limits put on that shit because I don't know. The involvement of the state in your every activity at the moment is getting greater and greater and greater. And maybe some people are into that. I'm not in many ways, and I think it kind of goes against what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to give people more autonomy and more sovereignty over their own success as a society.
Yeah, until we're centralized again.
Yeah, until we're completely, I mean, the reasonable end expectation from all of this is that we have a much more efficient, much more cost-effective, much more transparent financial system. And will crypto win? That's not the point. The point isn't to win crypto. The point is, let's make things more streamlined, more efficient, more transparent, and we'll have a better environment in the end. But we'll see. We'll see if they.
So the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation has been scrutinized, saying that they don't have clear crypto risk procedures, and they're going to respond with some recommendations by the end of January. But it's also important to note that a lot of who you already trade with, for example, Binance, states within their terms that your account is not eligible for insurance protections with the FDIC. So I also feel that this is coming from a little bit of a sidewire, like we should already know that maybe we aren't protected by these people, and so we don't anticipate that they're going to have a lot of guidance for us. And it makes me wonder what people are really looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I do see a world, believe it or not, where FDIC insures deposits in many blockchain-based platforms. That world is not now, and that world is not every protocol. I can see certain areas of coverage and by extension regulation, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it is something that people take pretty seriously with respect to the banking system. They like the fact that there's a backstop in case the banking institution goes belly up. Sure. I think there'll be, if it's not FDIC, I think we'll see maybe private insurers or someone else doing something like this. There is private insurers in the space, but I think we'll maybe see more of that now.
Well, we'll probably also see more companies like Blockade, where you can actually rely on them to work with your institutional partner. And institutional, I'm using loosely here. It could be MetaMask, could be your bank, to ensure that they scan all transactions and are able to pick out the ones that are fraud. And so this is kind of a big news. Blockade does currently work with MetaMask, OpenSea, that sort of thing. They have huge funding, huge backing from big venture capital we know, like Sequoia and Ribbit. And basically, they protected 500 million user funds by blocking 1.2 million malicious transactions in 3 months, which has led them to raise 27 million in their Series A.
Yeah, super exciting. There's a few groups that are doing something similar. Some are focusing on protecting at the protocol level. Some are at the wallet level. This is really cool. I think the challenge here is going to be when it fails. Where is their liability? And so I struggle with this because if it blocks a transaction on your behalf that ends up costing you money and not saving you from anything, whose fault is that? And that's probably not a big deal for you and I, where it might be a difference of like $10.
For a really large.
If you're like an institutional client or a family office or someone that's, it could be a different story. So I think this is definitely something that is interesting. I'm not sure how the legalities of it are going to shake out, but I like it. I think this is great. This is one of the things that should highlight the 0 to 1 here, is that we can actually, in fact, do this kind of thing programmatically. And we don't need departments of tens of thousands of employees to monitor transactions to do it. That's what the technology now allows, which is really exciting. And it's great to see. Again, these are the things that I would love to see on reality shows and different things like that. Like this
let's start one.
This is the sophistication I'm talking about.
Let's start a reality show. Go ahead.
Oh God, yeah. Because just when you think you don't have enough things to do,
start a reality show. That's
the reality show.
The next thing.
Perfect. Sounds
so
exactly like what I mean.
We have people who don't want to take responsibility for what they're doing. We have companies like Blockade who want to take a lot of responsibility for what's going on, and then we have the London police. So in May, the London police established a new unit against crypto crimes, very much like the RCMP, that one that we saw in Calgary. This one has 40 members. I actually remember talking about them recruiting for this, and we were concerned that the pay wasn't enough to have sophisticated enough people who know anything about Web3 to actually participate. But I don't know, maybe some people have ethos that's going to take them there. So they now have 40 people working on 19 active investigations. And those investigations are fairly large. At first, I was kind of like, 19? You guys have no idea what's going on. But so they are working on one that is a Hamas-controlled crypto address that has received over $400,000. They have criminals in Cardiff who converted 40 kilograms of cocaine into about 3 million pounds in crypto. So these aren't small potatoes. These probably aren't helping the individual, but anything that's kind of in that millions, they now have 19 open investigations.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that we see more of this globally. I think there's been some really, we talked about this a little while ago with Chainalysis and some of the other technologies that a lot of these police departments are starting to use. I mean, I like that there's 40 members here because I think it's a big enough unit that there's actually a chance that they might be able to pursue and do something. What I was concerned about at first was that they were going to make these units of like 1 or 2 people. And I mean, they're not going to have the resources or the bandwidth to pursue anything. So this is kind of cool. I think that's a lot of money in fraud cases, 306 million pounds in the UK.
It's huge.
That's a lot. I don't know.
I mean, and that's just one. They have 19 of those cases open right now.
That was only one case?
Yeah, that's one case. They have 19 cases that are all in the millions right now.
Oh, I misread that. I thought that was the total. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the next question is, what about all the people that are in the hundreds of thousands?
Exactly.
Because those are the people, and this is the thing, right? Like if you lost in FTX multiple millions of dollars, chances are that's not all of your millions of dollars. If you lost 100 grand or 200 grand, a lot of people, that was their entire life savings. Like that was their entire nut.
That's what they had.
And and so it's not the same value. It's not as sexy for the police departments to pursue, but I think it's I hope that they have resources for those types of cases also, because those are the ones that are affecting people in a way that is, in my opinion, much more difficult to recover from. Granted, that somebody loses multiple millions of dollars, of course they should be a priority, and there should be there should be resources for that too. I just don't want the smaller guys like us to get lost. To get lost.
So that's crypto. Anyway. It's like right in the public eye. There's stuff going on that's good in terms of crime, but there is also way more fraud. JD, are you wearing a crypto shirt? Because you didn't talk about it earlier.
I am blockchain developer.
We also.
Yeah, I got too excited about the show today. I didn't even talk about us being live Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, on all the major venues. Like, share, subscribe, help us out.
Hey, we do have a question.
Whoa! Who is it? Evie? Nope. Eric Smith. Can we have any updates on Ignite for Banky? Hey, Eric. Thanks for joining. Ignite is close. It's coming pretty quickly. You'll understand why it's been delayed once it's out. So that's where we're at. Yeah. No, that's a good question. I mean, if you want an answer for something like that, you got to find a way to get it. And here you are. Come ask on the pod. You've got a captive audience.
Do we have a timeline? Is there a timeline? Want to tell us what Ignite for Banky is?
We have a timeline, but it's not publicly communicated yet. It is soon. So I know I've been saying that for a little while. There is reasons for the delay. I think it'll make a lot of sense in the next few weeks what those reasons were and so on and so forth. So
for new listeners, tell us what Ignite for Banky is.
Yeah, so Ignite for Banky is a product that's built to accompany our liquid staking product for Avalanche. And what this allows you to do is spin up nodes without having to have the required 2,000 AVAX to start the node. And there's different ways of engaging with Ignite, but the most common one is a weekly fee. So instead of having to have all of these assets to spin up nodes and to access delegations from others, for a small weekly fee, we'll give you the majority of the AVAX and manage the node, help you manage the node for yourself. And then you can participate in VEC and vote for delegations to go to your nodes. Net, if you're someone that is interested in long Avalanche and you want to participate in validation and the associated rewards, is a really effective way to do it, especially if you don't have a ton of resources to begin with. There's a lot of businesses that could benefit from something like this because they don't want to or can't have it as a CapEx on their balance sheet. They can't hold assets, but they can very simply use it as OpEx. They can have to pay fiat which we translate to AVX to pay the fees for this thing. So anyways, it's pretty interesting. I think it's really exciting. It's a lot of use for S of X. There's a lot of use for individual participants and institutional participants using Ignite. And there are some advantages and things that it lends itself to with respect to subnet proliferation too. But I won't bore FUD Yourself with all of our Benki stuff. But yeah, great question, Eric. We're doing we're doing a couple AMAs over the next couple of weeks for Benki, so just keep an eye on the Benki Twitter, and you'll see, or X, Benki X, and you'll see those dates and times and so on, and make sure you show up, and we'll be talking more about it then.
Still type Twitter into the browser.
That's true. You can type x.com, but the thing is, like, what do you call it when you post now? Like, I posted on X, because it used to be called I tweeted.
Well, on their FAQ, I was actually looking this yesterday. It still is a tweet, so I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see what he.
All right, and with that,
and with that, today I say to you, Kiara, go FUD yourself.
Go FUD yourself.
Later.